welcome back to Mexico News Network's breaking news broadcasting from El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma. Now stay informed 24/7 and log on and browse through our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com. And also do not forget to follow us on social networks on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. You'll find us as Mexico News Network. Now let's continue with more information. Now imagine the idea of a robot highway going from Canada to Mexico. A bit over the top? Well, you will better and be very surprised and glad to know that this may not be so crazy after all and may be closer than you thought. Only last week, a group of truck drivers gathered in North Dakota where Mario Anderson, who's part of the Central North American Trade Corridor Association, the CNATCA, assured that the idea of self-driving trucks transporting cargo from Canada to Mexico is going through the United States on a robot route in which there is no need of passport or visa is not such a crazy idea after all, and more of a close reality. He was quoted from an article published on the Globe and Mail recently. But how will this exactly work, you may wonder? It's very simple. The plan is to create a new corridor for self-driven vehicles that may traverse this route in the near future. Route 83 runs from the north to the south, going through Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota, in order for them to traverse onto Manitoba. Now, there are several reasons why such project gains great importance, being one of the main ones the following. Number one, North Dakota produces great amounts of oil, and there is not a very efficient way to transport it to its final destination. Regardless of the quality and quantity of trains available in the area, they have not got the space needed for such task. Now, additionally, all those trucks that do transport these goods unfortunately keep exploding on a continuous level. A self-driving truck would definitely ease the pressure of such problem, and a separate road made specially to transport goods as such would definitely and also help all those drivers keep safe and sound from accidents running on Route 83. Now, the technology used to operate these vehicles is still somewhat experimental. However, it already exists in driverless vehicles. In addition to all of this, tests and tryouts for it have ended successfully, therefore concluding that cars that are not driven by a person could be much more efficient. Freightliner recently announced that the first self-drive rig will arrive to Nebraska and will be completely legal. It is important to mention that the whole project is not finished entirely yet, and a driver, human co-pilot, is still needed to operate and maneuver the entire vehicle. Anderson commented that he is well aware that for some, the idea of a self-driving car is very daunting and somewhat frightening. Nonetheless, he also understands that it helps them correct human mistakes and improve the overall mechanism of the vehicle, turning the roads into a safer place. Roy Ludwig, mayor of Estevan in Saskatchewan, Canada, near the U.S. border, also attended this meeting, and he assured that he greatly believes that and has great trust in the project. It is definitely an idea that is worth looking over and into, along with supporting new technologies and see where they all may lead. Now, moving along to more information. Mexico is a country rich in biodiversity and holds an astounding diversity of wild fungi. Today, we will be focusing on one uniquely colored mushroom, the blue milk mushroom. The varieties of fungi grown in Mexico encompass many species, but it is important to note that not all are edible. Some are poisonous, some are hallucinogenic, and others are used for healing. There are over 200 known species of edible fungi in Mexico, including the oyster mushroom, lobster mushroom, porcini mushroom, morels, and the blue milk mushroom, all of which figure in Mexican dishes. Now, Mexican gastronomy has given fungi their very own special place in several Mexican dishes, including salsas, soups, salads, side dishes, and filling for quesadillas, sopes, guaraches, and other exquisitely delicious Mexican treats. However, how can we possibly forget about huitlacoche? This is an iconic in Mexican gastronomy, essentially the fungus that attacks corn. It might sound strange, however, it is a very cherished flavor that has led some to even name it the Mexican truffle. Lactarius indigo, commonly known as the blue milk mushroom, indigo milky or indigo milk cap, is a species that grows in deciduous and coniferous forests throughout North and Central America, as well as East Asia during rainy season, providing the ideal conditions for this and other species of fungi to grow. This special mushroom has a rare color for a kitchen item, especially. It is actually blue and becomes paler as it ages. It exudes a latex milkish texture that is deep indigo blue also and turns green when air exposure. It has a round convex cap that can measure between 1 to 6 inches. The tapered base can measure up to 3.5 inches, in fact. Now, this mushroom has a pleasantly soft, earthy smell characteristic of fungi and a sweet, lightly pungent flavor. How is it eaten, you may wonder? A good way to prepare this mushroom is on the grill, making sure not to overcook it as it will lose its particular bluish color. It can also be prepared in a very traditional Mexican way, sautéed with sliced onion, garlic, and epazote, which is a fragrant leafy plant used in Mexican gastronomy. This basic preparation can be topped off with a little bit of cream and enjoyed on its own or with a freshly made tortilla. Delicious. Now, in more information, the ocean covers over 70% of the entire planet, and under it there is a fascinating ecosystem constantly affected by the detrimental effects of human activity. Now, World Ocean Day, declared in 2009, is dedicated to calling on everyone to preserve this great treasure, our oceans. And for this year's edition, the theme was Healthy Oceans, Healthy Planet. Oceans make the Earth habitable for all of us humans. They regulate weather, provide us with food, oxygen, and many other social and economic benefits. The magnificence of this ecosystem is such that the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, the UNESCO, estimates that 50 or even 80% of the living organisms on Earth live in the oceans. Now, did you know that the ocean absorbs almost 25% of the carbon dioxide that reaches the atmosphere more than tropical rainforest? In the waters, microscopic phytoplankton produces oxygen as any other regular plant does. Now, with this in mind, it is very hard to believe that only 1% of this very important ecosystem is under protection. For this particular reason, hundreds of people, companies, and non-profit organizations have decided to take action to protect the oceans, not just for one day, but forever and for good. One such example of this is Boyan Slat, founder and CEO of the Ocean Cleanup, an organization that has embarked on a big challenge to design the world's first system to remove all plastic waste from the oceans. That is about 5 trillion pieces of plastic, enough to fill almost 600 jumbo jets. Another voice which called out to protect oceans, particularly coral reef ecosystems off of the coast of Quintana Roo, was Abraham Levy, who recently crossed the Atlantic Ocean from Spain to Mexico all by himself on board a specially designed vessel known as Cascarita. It was an odyssey that amazed the entire world and pointed to the importance of protecting this very vital ecosystem. Now, the private sector is also joining in the cause. For the third time, Delfinus is organizing the Festival of the Oceans, the largest environmental education event of the Mexican Caribbean. From June 6th to the 14th, Delfinus has programmed all sorts of events for the family, including a regatta, conferences, a gastronomy challenge, photographic exposition, drawing contest for kids, a beach cleanup, and finally, a very emotive concert from the Esperanza Azteca Orchestra titled Marine Inspiration. All of it at no cost. Take part in this event, which is organized by Delphinus to raise the awareness about the importance of protecting the oceans and all living organisms that call them a home. In more information, Mexican and American scientists have developed a drug that prevents the development of malignant tumors and may also prevent relapses. This is an immuno-oncological treatment that reaches malignant cells, even those which are hidden deep. It functions by triggering the patient's own immune system to eliminate the pre-malignant cells. Now, scientists from the University of Washington and the Cancer Investigation Center in Sonora expect that within 5 years' time, these vaccines will be regular and mandatory for everyone as part of the immunization record for children as well as adults. The center has begun working on this research for 14 years with the support from the United States National Cancer Institute and by sponsors who have helped fund the treatment and follow up on over 400 Mexican patients with high probabilities of relapsing. Risk groups have also been treated, all presenting disease-free results. Now, the research team is planning on taking in the trial for colon cancer patients by the year 2016. The trials will not be carried out on patients who already have the disease, rather on those who have family histories with Lynch syndrome or multiple polyposis will be given to preventive vaccines. Now, studies will continue to be made in smoker and non-smoker patients too, in order to identify the proteins necessary to immunize the patients and prevent them from getting lung cancer. Now, as heartening as this may all sound, the vaccine itself does not appear to be a cure for stage 4 cancer, even though it may be used with chemotherapy and radiotherapy to improve the outcome. Any Mexican can in fact participate in this research project regardless of which state one lives in. There are also talks underway to ensure that Mexico's National Institute of Cancer Research, the INCAN, makes the resulting drug available to the Mexican National Cancer Institute for anyone to have access to it. Incredible information from the science world. Now we'll be right back with more information on Mexico and the whole world of science and technology after these few messages. Stay with us.